something. I could do this until I'm 100. As long as I can type on a phone, I can continue making content. I just cannot make content around children. Now, I am very aware of people online who hate me, who would like to cancel me, who would like to see me either burn in hell, as I have been told, or disappear off the face of the earth. And I'm not going anywhere.
Your job is not to provide them with a father. Your child is not to provide them with a magical childhood. I'm going to do a video on that coming up, magical childhoods. Your job is not to make sure that your children are accepted by their peers, or that they have friends or birthday parties or Christmas presents, or like the list of things that people think children need today are astronomical and very unrealistic. Your job is solely to love your children in the truth. So hopefully that simplifies things. It doesn't take the pain away. It doesn't take away the need to eat. And it doesn't take away the need to have a roof over your head. And hopefully that simplifies what you're responsible for.
There's other ways to grab your children's attention. It may take more effort, and it probably will take more effort on your part, rather than hitting them, because when you hit them, you immediately have their attention. Most kids will be like, and then they'll be like, what do you want? What do you want? I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hit me again. But then you have this dynamic set up of, I'm afraid of you, and I obey you because I'm afraid of you, not because I love you or I respect you or I want to obey you. I do those things out of compliance now. And some kids won't even do it out of compliance. They'll just get hit, and then they'll just look at you like, so? Now what are you going to do? Hit them harder? You know, like pummel them? Now you've lost your intervention. And more kids are going towards that, where they just don't appear to be phased. You just see aggressive behavior. You see a child saying, screw you, and I'll do what I want. That doesn't sound fearful, does it? However, that kind of overt attack is really a big, huge, I call it the blowfish. They blow themselves up so that they can pretend to themselves and to you that they're larger than life, that they've got everything handled, they've got everything figured out, they don't need any help, and the truth is they're scared to death under the surface. So our job as parents, your job as a parent, is to know that when you see acting out behavior in any way, shape, or form, connect the dot to this child is unaware of who they are and their value. And part of the reason they're unaware is because of their destructive choices. They keep using their agency to choose distortion, which is deception, rather than truth. And when any of us do that, we feel badly about ourselves.
So I can only imagine what you are thinking when you hear Jodi and me talk about making sure you as the parent teach your child about principles of truth. You're thinking, oh, great. One more item on my to-do list, one more thing. But what I am here to tell you is that you are only responsible for one thing. Forget all of the rest of that to-do list. You are only responsible to teach your child principles of truth so they can show up as a self-governing, high-charactered individual. You're welcome.
So many of us that are parents, it's like, I don't want to have to track them down. I don't want to have to just, like take everything away from them. And it's like, you're not taking things away from them. What you're doing is you've handed them things that they're not managing. And so it's your job to make sure that the first thing they manage is themselves. Like, they understand how to manage themselves. They know how to be responsible for themselves. They know how to not blame. They know how to get curious, which means humble. They know how to ask questions. They know how to say, that doesn't feel right. Can you help me understand? They know how to do all that. And when you give them activities or you give them opportunities that they engage in where they can't manage themselves, they're only going to become more and more unmanageable inside of these activities. You are responsible to protect you, and now you're responsible to protect a baby. So I know that many of us, if not all of us, have been conditioned to believe that, if someone is being abusive, then you need to get away from that person who's being abusive. But it's okay to leave the kids in that environment. And I understand that many of the laws in the world support that. A man or a woman can be being abusive and they still will have their children given to them, which is horrible. And I understand why the law does that, because there's so much deception going on that the law, quote unquote, they don't know where the truth is. They don't know who's telling the truth. So this little boy that you have depends on you, Mom. And I'm hoping that you will be a lioness to protect him.
I hear it from parents all the time. I don't want to be a controlling parent.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Right. Control is not parenting. That's all it is. It's controlling. So no, you don't want to be a controlling parent. And like Ruby just said, I hear this probably every other day. Someone says, I'm afraid that I am controlling. I'm afraid. So if you're afraid, if you say that a lot, you're controlling. There's your indicator, is that you have fear, because fear leads to control. And we're going to break this down for you so you can see it.
Yeah, that's great. I know that if your leading question is this controlling or not? If that's the biggest filter that's going through your mind every day as you're making decisions, is this controlling? Is this not controlling? That's what you're bowing to. Moms, dads, you need to be fighting 100% of the time. It's not a battle with your child. This is a battle against the evil that's in the world today.
Yes.
And you need to be battling it every minute of the day.
And teaching your children how to battle it. And that's where Connexions can come in and be just a godsend for you. Because we are very skilled at teaching you how to see the evil and call the evil out. A lot of people don't even know how to put words to what's going on. I mean, I talk to moms and they're like, Jodi, this is what went on with my child, and I know it's wrong, but I don't even know how to put language to how wrong it is. And then they'll tell me a scenario and I'll say, well, here's what I'm hearing, and I'll explain it, and they'll say, yes, that's what it is. She's learned that you don't mean what you say, that you hold her accountable, and then at some point you stop holding her accountable. Like, you said it takes 3 times to get her to do something. So instead of it being multiple times to tell her to do something, why don't you tell her to do something once and then have a boundary, so that you're not teaching her to be told multiple times. You saying, hey, will you take your dish off the plate, or will you take your plate off the counter and put it in the sink? Hey, will you put your plate in the sink? Hey, will you put your plate in the sink? And you keep saying that. She's just learning to just wait till you stop saying it. Versus, will you put your plate in the sink? And then you go over and you pick her up and you have some kind of an outcome that's going to get her attention, whatever that is.
Are you having a hard time keeping up with your to-do list? Make a healthy dinner, go grocery shopping, making sure the kids look Instagram worthy, make sure kids are socialized. I know what that sounds like. Help kids with your homework. I mean their homework. Do the laundry and disinfect all the water bottles. You know which one has become really quite invasive? Is making sure that you, the parent, develop your child's talents. Yeah, that's a fun one. There is a whole laundry list of items that you believe you are responsible for. And here's the truth. You are only responsible for one thing. And it is not to make sure your child gets into college. And it is not to make sure your child is the most talented kid on the block. And it is not to make sure they are entrepreneurs by the time they are 10. And it is not to run your 8-year-old's calendar. How did my 8-year-old get his own calendar? Moms, rip up your to-do list, move out of the van, and back into your house. So I can only imagine what you are thinking when you hear Jodi and me talk about making sure you as the parent teach your child about principles of truth. You're thinking, oh great. One more item on my to-do list, one more thing. But what I am here to tell you is that you are only responsible for one thing. Forget all of the rest of that to-do list. You are only responsible to teach your child principles of truth so they can show up as a self-governing, high-charactered individual. You're welcome. Yep, that's right. Moms, dads, you are not overwhelmed because your kids are being disobedient, and you're not overwhelmed because there's too much to do. You're overwhelmed because you have forgotten, or no one ever told you, what your sole, your one responsibility actually is. I want to invite you to join us in sunny St. George on October 28th and 29th. Come learn about what your responsibility is as a parent and what it isn't. Life gets really simple when you learn about what you're responsible for and what you're not. And the good news is you're only responsible for one thing. So here's another one. Shopping with kids, how it looks versus how it feels.
Wow. Yeah, so how it looks, you've got the mom smiling and the child, and then how it feels is the kid is a bomb ready to go off. I never know what they're going to do, how they're going to respond. Well, guess what? That is the truth around you too. You were once one of those little ones in a cart, and someone called your mother or your father took you to stores. And how sad it would be if they thought about you as a bomb ready to go off.
Well, this just highlights the fear that mothers are having toward their children.
Yeah.
I am scared of my child.
Right. And I want to control them, and I can't control them, and I resent it. I'm walking on eggshells because they might go off at any moment. And the reality is, children are little people learning how to be grown-up people. And it's your responsibility to teach them. There is nothing that you've done or nothing that you think you've done that is outside the reach of God healing you. Nothing. And I could sit here and name all sorts of things that people have done and things that I have done, and nothing is outside that reach of being seen and healed by God.
You know, Ruby, I have heard this term called mommy guilt quite a bit. Have you heard that, or maybe you use that term? Every time I hear that term, I think, that doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't sound like it's in truth.
Well, it's a term, it's a phrase that everyone assumes they know what it means, and it's used. I mean, I've heard it from parenting magazines to blogs. You've seen it on all kinds of media. And what exactly is it?
Yeah.
The title of mother is one of dignity and honor and respect. Stop devaluing the title mother by connecting it with a lie. Your choices that you're making every day around your children has nothing to do with who you are or your title as a mother. Your choices of what you are doing and not doing throughout the day is about your agency.
How do you know if you are a controlling parent? What is it that you're going to look at? So we have this idea that controlling parents are parents who make their kids do something that the kids don't want to do. Did you know that a controlling parent is also a parent who doesn't expect anything from their children and allows the child to do whatever they want? That's also a controlling parent. Being a parent is a position of power. You have a responsibility and you have an obligation and a duty to show up being wise, being a guide, being an instructor for your child. And your children are showing up saying, I won't do that. No, I don't want to. If you're in a position of power and you turn your power and give it over to the kids, that is control. So today we're talking about bullying. Bullying is a big issue, and I don't know if it's because of social media or because people are talking about it more. it appears that it's a bigger issue than it ever was in years before. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's more pronounced. I think more people are aware of it because we have immediate access to each other. And people can get online and it can go around the world within minutes or hours, and you can tell a story. And now all these people know about your story that you had, or your experience that you had at school that day.
Oh, that's really true. And instead of just one person or, having a group of 5 people coming after you, it's their 5 people and their social media following. So you could literally be a 7th grader and have hundreds and hundreds of people bullying you and coming after you simply because of social media friends.